The Earth has grown dangerously overpopulated. Dreams of living on Mars are still decades away, but this problem must be solved now. So the only place to go is deep down in the ocean, where we hope to create a network of farms and underwater cities, which was designed by Vladimir Suki and published by Rio Grande Games. Hi everybody, my name is Nick Murphy of the Brothers Murph. We're here with Board Game Geek, and today's episode of In Focus is sponsored by the Board Game Geek store. Well, our kelp farm is ready to produce, so let's get this game down to the table to go in focus on underwater cities. In underwater cities, players will compete to build the best connected network of cities, tunnels, farms, desalination plants, and laboratories. Players will do this through a mix of choosing action spaces and playing cards. On a turn, the active player will place one of their action tiles on an available spot on the board. The action spaces are broken up into 3 colors, with the green action spaces generally being less powerful, with the actions becoming stronger as you move into red and orange. Every turn, the active player must play a card along with placing their action tile. The cards are also in green, red, and orange, and anytime a player plays a card matching the color of the action space they used, they will carry out the actions on the card. The cards generally trend in the opposite direction, where the strongest cards are green, which will be paired with the weaker actions. Many cards have an instant effect, granting players resources like credits, kelp, steel plast, and more, while other cards allow the player to do extra build actions. There are also cards that will give the player a persistent effect for the rest of the game, and there are action cards that a player will be able to activate by going to an action space marked with the letter A. If a player chooses an action space that does not match the card played, the card is simply discarded. At the end of each turn, the active player will draw a new card from the deck matching the current era. So much focus goes onto the cards that get played, but the action spaces themselves give players opportunities to build up their network. When a player chooses an action space, they may carry out all associated icons on that space. This will allow the player to build labs, kelp farms, and desalination plants, which will produce a few times throughout the game. Tunnels connect everything in a player's network and produce credits as well, and cities complete the connection process. Each building type shows its cost and what it produces on each player's player aid. At 3 points in the game, production happens, which will give the players valuable resources to use in the upcoming era. Each kelp farm produces kelp, while labs produce science, and desalination plants and tunnels produce credits. In the game, players will have the chance to upgrade buildings, which will then produce even more resources, and players get extra bonuses for having 2 upgraded buildings of the same type in the same city. Symbiotic cities cost more to build but will produce more victory points along with upgraded tunnels and kelp farms. Once players move into Era 2, new cards will be available, and the same will happen heading into Era 3. There are special cards that players can buy, including 6 special cards that deal with endgame scoring. Throughout the 3 eras in the game, players hope to build the biggest connected network possible to gain the most resources and points they can. For buildings to produce, however, they must be in a city that is connected via tunnels back to the starting city on their player board. If players reach the Metropolis tiles, they may gain one-time bonuses and/or extra production or endgame scoring opportunities. After the 3rd era, a final production phase happens, and then endgame scoring takes place. Players score each connected city, gaining more points for each unique building type present in that city. Players will also score any endgame scoring cards, and they will score their endgame Metropolis if they manage to connect it to their network. Finally, extra resources will be converted into credits, and every 4 credits will be worth 1 point, and after all the scores are totaled, the player with the highest score wins. Underwater Cities is a game all about stretching out your resources to build a connected network of buildings and tunnels to give you large dumps of resources during production to then fuel even more building. And then there's the tough balance of where to distribute your buildings. If you get 2 upgraded buildings of the same type in one city, you gain even more resources. But at the end of the game, you're rewarded for having different building types in the same city. And finding ways to use matching cards with the actions you select can make for very productive turns. And if Underwater Cities seems like a game you'd enjoy, consider checking out its page on BoardGameGeek.com. And if you're looking to upgrade your next game night with the Geek Up bits featured throughout this video, visit the Board Game Geek store today. And until next time, I've been Nick Murphy. We're here with Board Game Geek, and we've been going in focus on Underwater Cities. Have a great day.